Nvidia sparking a chip rally after topping first quarter expectations with revenue soaring 69%. The company also warning of an $8 billion revenue hit in the second quarter due to China export rules. CEO Jensen Huang says that the curbs weaken America's position.
China is one of the world's largest AI markets and a springboard to global success. With half of the world's AI researchers based there, the platform that wins China is positioned to lead globally. Today, however, the $50 billion China market is effectively closed to US industry. China's AI moves on with or without US chips.
Joining us now, we've got Antoine Chkaiban, who is the New Street Research Technology Infrastructure Analyst. Just want to start with your biggest takeaways from the results, especially considering what we just heard in the soundbite there from Jensen Huang.
Yes, hey Brad, hey Madison, thanks for having me. So yeah, of course, there's this 8 billion headwind in the second quarter. And despite that, you have Nvidia guiding data center revenues up modestly. So that's, a very significant guide up if you account for the headwind. And I think the key takeaway here is that there's a surge in inference demand. All these reasoning models that have been introduced over the course of the year, O3, O4, DeepSeek, that are capable of generating a lot of tokens to improve upon their answers. That's driving a lot of demand for compute, and that I think is the key takeaway from these earnings. Of course, that translates into a lot of demand for the latest generation, Blackwell. I think there were a lot of concerns around potentially production challenges there. I was in Asia last week. I got the opportunity to talk about the supply chain. And indeed, NVIDIA faced a lot of challenges. It's a very challenging product to ramp. And now we have visibility into 1,000 of these racks being installed at their hyperscale customers every week. So that's kind of dismissing any concern around inventories building up at OEMs for Blackwell. So I would say those are the key takeaways from the print yesterday.
And I know you mentioned in your note that you sent over to us that you are still buyers of any weakness. What is your long-term bull case for NVIDIA, especially given some of the concerns that we'll get to regarding some competition with China specifically?
Yes, so on the demand side of things, our view is that the token is the new transistor. That's our motto. So when you're able to innovate at a pace that allows you to lower the cost per token, that drives tremendous demand. And to go back to the reasoning models that I was talking about earlier, there's an opportunity to solve humanity's greatest challenges by putting AI at work, in data centers, in huge data centers that are going to comprise millions of XPUs in the next couple of years, putting those data centers at work to try and solve quantum physics, to try and help companies design products, to try and help governments, optimize their budgets. And I think, that's our long-term view for AI in general. Now, with regards to your question on competitive dynamics, so there's the China problem. There's more generally, the debate around whether hyperscalers are going to ramp in-house chips. I would say, NVIDIA has a head start, clearly, because they have a very strong ecosystem. They have a very large installed base. People know how to use their GPUs. You have universities who are teaching their students with NVIDIA GPUs and who have been doing so for 10 years, like in computer science departments. And so that's very hard, to break that kind of ecosystem strength. And then with regards to China, so yes, as Jensen mentioned yesterday, there is a huge market there. And if NVIDIA doesn't address it, if the US platforms don't address it, well, China is, of course, ramping. We've heard about Huawei's Ascend chip, who is reportedly becoming competitive, excluding these ecosystem barriers, who is becoming, competitive on paper progressively. I mean, there's still a gap, but they're trying to catch up, and if you don't, maintain NVIDIA's leadership thanks to its ecosystem, and you allow, that new ecosystem to emerge, well, yes, that's a lost opportunity for the US. So that's, Jensen's message yesterday as well.
Antoine, there's also this transition from Hopper to Blackwell, and really contributing. Blackwell did nearly 70% of data center compute revenue in the quarter. Given that transition from Hopper nearly complete here, I want to play a clip on just what they had to say about Hopper on the call.
The H20 export ban ended our Hopper data center business in China. We cannot reduce Hopper further to comply. As a result, we are taking a multi-billion-dollar write-off on inventory that cannot be sold or repurposed. We are exploring limited ways to compete, but Hopper is no longer an option.
Okay, and so they also said that they sold H20 with the approval of the previous administration. H20 been in the market for over a year, doesn't have a market outside of China. Is there a larger headwind that they should be considering or that investors still need to think through with regard to H20, given the geopolitical concerns that every company has had to acknowledge?
I don't think so, because if revenues would have been 8 billion higher in the second quarter if they had H20. So now China is almost out of Nvidia's numbers. So now, if anything, there's a potential tailwind, if Nvidia is able to again work around the new export controls and introduce a new Blackwell SKU that can ship to China again, and there's been, this game over the last few years. It's not the first time, that a product is banned. You had like A800 and you had H20. And so now anyway, Hopper is coming to an end. As you mentioned, 70% of data center compute, that's like 24 billion Blackwell says in the quarter. So Hopper and everything else is now less than 10 billion in Nvidia's numbers. So I would say now we're transitioning to Blackwell. Now China, we don't know exactly whether Nvidia is going to be able to address that market again. There's been some news flow, in recent days around the fact that they're working on something. Jensen confirmed that yesterday. Yeah. He said he had nothing to announce. But yes, there's clearly an opportunity if Nvidia is able to work around the new controls.
30 seconds left. We know that there's a Trump put in the bond market. Is there a Trump put in Nvidia's stock price?
I don't think so. I think the stock price is back to 2024 levels, and I mean we're 1 year later, we're still at 2024 levels. Nvidia can grow, revenues 15-20% growth beyond 2025. I think there's a lot of upside. If you put like a 35 times multiple on 2026 or 2027 earnings, you still have like a target price in the $200 region. So there's a lot of upside.
Antoine, thank you so much.